everyone, and welcome to another animated look back. Woohoo! Growing up in a Christian family, The Simpsons was always just one of those shows that my parents never wanted me to watch. You know, for other shows it'd be stuff like, there's magic in it, and that, you know, is part of the occult, so you don't want anything to do with that. Or for something else it'd be like, oh, it's too violent, and let's read the Bible, because there's no violence in that. Or for other shows it'd be because they thought it was stupid, they had no idea what it was. To be fair, though, I don't really regret missing out on that one. But of course, for The Simpsons, it was because it was too crude. Honestly, these days, part of me wants to watch an episode of Family Guy or American Dad with my mom just to see her reaction. It'd be a lot like this. But in any case, I eventually did start watching The Simpsons. And that was mostly because when I grew up, we had what we called peasant vision. Yeah, we had 2 channels. Well, 3 if you counted the French one. But 2 channels, so I would just watch whatever. I mean, and you know, there's only so many red-green up here in Canada that you can watch, and so eventually you watch some stuff that you didn't think you would. I remember I would like start to watch something, and in the moment it got like too crude or would say something that was just so non-Christian, I would just change the channel. But the first full episode I would watch was the episode where Lisa becomes a goalie at a rival hockey team, and it's a Bart versus Lisa episode. It's kind of ironic that this Canadian's first episode of The Simpsons has to do with hockey, but in any case. But I was surprised at the episode's heart and humor, and before you knew it, I was a full-fledged fan. I have plenty of Simpsons seasons, I've watched so many episodes. You know, I wouldn't call myself obsessed, but I would say I'm a very decent, good fan of The Simpsons. And I basically jumped on right at the right time because it wasn't too many years after I became a fan of The Simpsons where the movie came out. And the reason I'm telling this long, boring, and convoluted story is because when I first saw The Simpsons movie, I wasn't really thinking critically at the time. I haven't gotten to that mindset yet. But also, I was still fairly new to the franchise, so a lot of this stuff I thought was like the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. But now as an adult, I've seen almost everything having to do with the show, well, at least the older episodes. I've seen a lot more movies, so my critically mind is a lot sharper. And so now it's time to take on the town that looks like everyone bathed in mustard. This is my review of the Simpsons movie. Now the first question you might ask is there any different approach that you need to take when reviewing a movie that's based off of a TV show that already has set up its world and characters? Well, an ideal movie that is based off of a TV show would set up its world and characters like you've never seen them before, you know? But that's kind of impossible with The Simpsons considering their characters go into the thousands. But like I always say, there are certain qualities of any story, movie, video game, or anything that you can judge it on. It doesn't matter if it was made by somebody in their backyard or by an independent movie company, or by a blockbuster movie company. It doesn't matter. There's always certain elements that you can always criticize at, and so that's going to be the focus that we're going to focus on today. Those being, of course, story, characters, and tone. For the story, we see that Springfield finally realizes that their lake is on the verge of becoming a major environmental hazard, so they decide to, finally clean it up and stop dumping stuff in it instead of, disposing of it the right way. But of course, Homer ends up screwing it up, and because of that, the U.S. government decides to seal off the entire city in a dome. The town eventually traces the screw-up back to Homer, and so they chase him out of the town, and after they run away and they realize that the government is going to wipe Springfield off the map, they decide that they need to find a way to save Springfield. Well, most of them decide that, but we'll get into it. You know, in a lot of ways, this movie starts like an episode of the show. You know, some random thing that really has nothing to do with the later plot. You throw in a quick celebrity cameo just for it to be there, just so you can have a quick, moment. However, the plot of the film goes to large extremes with the stuff they do in order to stand out as a film. Especially with the animation, because the animation is what really sets this movie apart rather than an episode of the show, because they go to such extremes. Like the extremely well-animated scene with the mob bearing down on the Simpsons house, or the dropping on the dome of the town that leads to so many jokes, or the flippin' destroying of the Simpsons house, or Bart's naked skateboard run. I swear, when I first saw that, let's just say I wasn't desensitized to this sort of thing in media, so at the time, I was a little bit, on edge when this happened. So basically, the writing really does kind of feel like the writing of the show, but the animation and the scope and the lengths they take these jokes really do make it feel more cinematic. But what about the tone? What is the tone of this movie like? Well, honestly, if it wasn't for the itchy and scratchy big movie short at the beginning and some of the bigger action points later, it really would feel very much like a Simpsons episode. Oh, but one point, is this the itchy and scratchy movie that Bart wasn't allowed to see, or is this like the reboot? But anyway, the beginning feels a lot like the episodes. The plot gets a lot more bigger and, more out there later on, but the very beginning feels much like a Simpsons episode. So I think it's fair to say that the tone of this movie is a lot like the TV show. That being said, if you do not watch the TV show, there is literally zero reason for you to watch this movie. Now, I'm not saying the film is bad because of it, but this film only works if you've seen the show, or at least have a familiarity with the show. And I think you have to take that into account because, let's say, for example, if you watch the Batman movie, Batman Mask of the Phantasm, you could watch it without having seen any of the TV show, and it would still work on every level for you if you had seen the TV show. There's nothing in it that you need to see the TV show in order to understand or get, where The Simpsons, all the different characters that they have and all the different in-jokes that they have, they don't work if you don't know them, Flanders saying, the four states that border Springfield, Nevada, Ohio, Maine, and Kentucky, well, that doesn't really work for, the audience doesn't get it if they don't know the in-joke, if they're not, in on it. And a lot of the big laughs come from the familiarity with the characters, where you get to really experience the movie with the characters, like how the comic book guy has no regrets of his comic book life, or how Martin beats up on the bullies. Now, true, you can probably pick up on it if you're not familiar with these characters, but you don't really appreciate it in the same way. But for humor, the tone is just very good at hitting that Simpsons humor tone. They have a wide variety of humor, visual humor. Quick, witty lines.
Oh, it's leaking.
It's not leaking, it's overflowing.
He filled up the whole silo in just 2 days?
Well, I helped.
And yeah, sometimes just bringing the pain for the slapstick.
Go! 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 Go!
Oh.
Go!
Yeah, basically that's my way of saying the movie is funny. But it only really works if you've seen the show. Now, when it comes to the characters, the film does its best to give all the characters an arc. Bart's character arc is that he's wanting to feel loved by his dad and searches for that love in Ned Flanders. I don't really know about this one. I mean, it's a good idea that Bart isn't really feeling the love from his father because Homer is just, well...
Who's a good pig?
Yeah. I just don't see Bart wanting to go with Ned Flanders. He's just too clean. But I guess it works for the story of Bart wanting to find a father who cares about him. And at the very least, he gets an arc. Unlike Lisa Simpson, whose only character arc really is that she finds a boy she likes. Yay for feminism. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be too surprised that Homer and Bart get the bigger story arcs because they're the most popular characters of the show. They have all the merchandising is all Homer and Bart. Okay, I shouldn't say all, but that's what people, those were the advertisements. Nobody's going to say, oh boy, this candy bar is inspired by Lisa. Better not lay a finger on my Butterfinger. Or else what? Or else I'll lecture you. I don't know, it just doesn't work. However, Lisa does feel sidelined. Like, she really should have gotten a little bit more to do, because all she does is she brings up the environmental stuff at the beginning, and the rest of the movie she's just ride along. With occasionally going back to check in on her boyfriend. Marge and Homer's plot are kind of more intertwined, so I'll kind of tackle them both at the same time. Marge is really just feeling like she just wants her husband to listen to her.
But the very best thing is that he listens to you. So I know it's easy for your mind to wander. You didn't listen to me after I warned you. I need to know what was going through your mind when you didn't listen to me and dumped that silo in the lake.
Yeah, it's subtle, but it's there. And Homer's is, I guess, figuring out that other people matter? I guess? I don't know. I mean, Homer's plot is kind of hard to pin down. I mean, he spends a lot of time in the beginning being distracted with the pig. And then when he's questioned about why he threw the pig silo into the lake, this is his response.
Homer!
His story arc really only begins in the last act, when his family leaves him to go save Springfield. And he goes on this head-trippy scene with a First Nations woman, and it just goes real weird, and the end result of that is, oh, other people matter as well. It's these really deep philosophical messages that really keep bringing people back to The Simpsons.
Oh, do whatever you want of me. I don't care about myself anymore.
Because?
Because other people are just as important as me. Without them, I'm nothing.
It's just hard to say that the whole film is building up to this amazing, mind-blowing revelation when the beginning is just Homer doing this.
Spider Pig, does whatever a Spider Pig does. Can he swing from a web? No, he can't. He's a pig. Look out, he is a Spider Pig.
And honestly, the most I've ever disliked Homer was in this film. Because the thing with Homer is, he is selfish and lazy and inconsiderate, but the thing that makes his character good is that in the end, he is still a good guy. You know? He does care about his family. He does truly love Marge and his kids. He doesn't always show it in the best way, but like in the show, when he finds out his daughter is feeling down, he won't stop till she feels better. I mean, this is the guy that got a second job that drained him just so his daughter could have a horse. And he's the guy that fell off his gorge so his son wouldn't. And he is the guy that the one thing, no matter how many times he screwed up, the one thing you can always count on is that he loved Marge and would do anything for her.
I don't know what to tell you, Marge. I don't think about things. I respect people who do, but I just try to make the days not hurt until I get to crawl in next to you again.
Oh.
And after he screws up and, you know, he dooms the town and they're on the run, there's a moment where his family doesn't know if they even want to go with him. And he says this.
In every marriage, you get one chance to say, I need you to do this with me. And there's only one answer when somebody says that.
Okay, homie. I'm with you.
You know, it's really heartwarming. I remember feeling like that's really, you know, good. That a couple can work through this crisis and come together. And then when they figure out that Springfield is going to be destroyed, Homer wants nothing to do with them. And I mean, you know what? He kind of has a point. Those people did try to kill him. I mean, they were really ready to hang their baby. Homer's own father pointed a shotgun at them. That's going to be hard to get over. But nevertheless, just like he asked for some faith from them, she asks it in return.
Homer, in every marriage you get one chance to say, I need you to do this with me.
That is the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
Oh, screw you, Homer! Can we show some shots of him in pain so I can feel better? I mean, seriously, when did Homer Simpson turn into Peter Griffin? He has said some crappy things at times, but this takes the cake. But you know what? It leads to the best emotional scene in the movie. And that's when Homer finds out that Marge has left him.
Lately, what's keeping us together is my ability to overlook everything you do. And I overlook these things because...
Because?
Well, that's the thing. I just don't know how to finish that sentence anymore.
Julie Canver gives her recorded message to Homer the exact right amount of emotion and sadness. I truly feel Marge is heartbroken over this. The fact that she taped over her wedding video, the thing she ran back into the burning house for, I mean, she truly feels like she's broken because she feels like Homer doesn't care about anybody but himself. It really hits at home, and everything that Homer does to save his family really shows how unstoppable his love is. And that is why the day I completely gave up on The Simpsons was the day I heard that they made Homer cheat on Marge. You took it too far, Fox. Because that is too far. Homer has put Marge through so much crap, but the one major perk was that his love for her was unfailing and he was never going to be unfaithful to her. And the moment they crossed that line because they ran out of stories to tell and did it for shock value, that is when I quit the show for good. And that's why this movie really feels like it's the last time the actors have any passion for their roles, any express to really do their jobs well. Because they've been doing this for over, 30 years is it now? And you can just tell they just don't have the passion for it anymore. This is what happens when you get shows that go on for too long. You get the actors that just start phoning it in, not because they want to or they're unprofessional, just because they've done this so many times they just can't muster the emotion to care. I mean, watch a new episode of that Law & Order SVU show and tell me that those actors don't feel like they've checked out. Although, to be fair, it'd be hard to tell if Ice-T was already checked out or not. But anyways. But I mean, that's just always been the problem with the new episodes of the show. The actors are doing this for a paycheck and they don't have any passion for the project anymore. And you know what? Simpsons should be commended with getting as many good episodes as they did, but they need to stop because everyone's turned apathetic towards The Simpsons. I mean, even when there's a funny line or episode of The Simpsons, the actors can't deliver it as well as they used to because they just can't muster up the same emotion. What's that? Bart's in trouble again? Okay, whatever. What's that? Homer did something stupid? Doe. At the very least, stop the show for Julie Kavner. I mean, her voice sounds like it's gonna go away forever. I swear, every time I hear Marge's voice, I expect her to go, "It's Homer, the last thing I..." But I digress. This isn't an episode about the TV show, this is an episode about the movie. My point is, Homer's plot, it works, it just doesn't work really well. I feel like his plot should have been more about just facing responsibilities. Because that's where you really could have worked in the other people's character plots. He has to take responsibility for taking care of Bart and taking care of his life and his wife and taking care of his responsibility for what he did in the lake. You know, it should have been all about him taking responsibility for his mistakes and his actions. But it's not really about that, because the epiphany that he gets in the end is that other people's lives are just as important as he is. Which I don't really get. What? And you might say, am I being too hard on the Simpsons movie? I mean, come on, dude, what were you trying to expect here? Inside Out? No, but come on, we all know the Simpsons have episodes that have left an emotional impact. That one where we find out why there's no pictures of Maggie in the photo albums. The one where Bart fails his test and he really has an emotional reaction. There are definitely things in the Simpsons shows that really have left a good emotional impact on us. And here, it's like the best scene is Marge taping over her wedding video in terms of drama, but it doesn't pay off as well as it could. But let's talk about some of the other characters. Lisa's boyfriend, he's boring. Okay, now the villain of the film is the head of the EPA, played by Albert Brooks. And he is under the command of President Rainier Wolfcastle. Oh wait, no, I mean the actual President Arnold Schwarzenegger. What? The design looks exactly like Rainier Wolfcastle. Why didn't they just keep it? I don't know, that's weird. Well, sheesh, who would have thought I'd be jealous of the president in the Simpsons universe over the one in ours? Although, to be fair, Trump was president in the Simpsons universe too. But you know what? With quotes like these...
I was elected to lead, not to read. Number 3.
I have 5 solutions. You don't even have to read them. You'll have deniability. I'll take care of everything. You know nothing. Anyone can pick something when they know what it is. It takes real leadership to pick something you're clueless about.
It really makes you think if Trump saw this movie and said, well, if that's all of it takes, then I could be president. President, no problem. No problem. Bigly. In any case, Albert Brooks' EPA director is pretty funny, and he has a lot of really funny scenes that are quite enjoyable to me. The only problem is that Homer and him have absolutely no scenes with each other until the very end. They get one scene together. So that doesn't really have the right of good... It doesn't have... I wish The Simpsons could have worked off of his character more. We have a few of the townspeople working off him, which is funny, but I wish it was more of a Homer Simpson versus this guy. Although it is funny when Homer says, well, we meet at last, whoever you are. Now, one thing that you should know is that there was 11 writers on this film. 11! Yikes! Now, while they were all people who have written episodes of the show before, that kind of really explains to me why this movie's character arcs aren't as fluid together. There's like 11 different perspectives moving in on jokes and jokes and jokes. There's not enough attention, in my opinion, getting attention onto the character arcs and making them flow smoothly throughout the humor. It feels like more like they feel like they have to have a character arc, and they're not doing their best to really develop that and put them into the movie. They were really thinking jokes first. And you know what? When you watch it for the first time, that really, really works. Because you're just laughing so hard that you don't really see any of these things. But it doesn't give the movie a lot of rewatchability, because otherwise, all you're looking for is the jokes, and the story isn't enough to carry it on. Where something like the Lego Movie is also hilarious, but even once I know the jokes, I can still enjoy the movie because the character arcs are so solid. As I said, maybe I'm asking too much from The Simpsons, but they have definitely had episodes that have had great characters and great heart and great tone throughout it, so you know what? I think they could have reached it if they tried. So I don't think I'm asking too much. I think the show could have made it a little bit better. However, I'd be lying if I told you I dislike this film. I still really enjoy the movie because of the humor. They really go all out. But if I'm going to watch this movie again in the future, it will have to be with somebody else who likes The Simpsons so we can enjoy it and laugh together. This would not be a movie I would really want to watch on my own. So if you're looking for a quick laugh to have some fun time, this is definitely worth checking out. But if you want anything beyond that, I don't know, you might have to look at somewhere else. So in the end, I'm giving The Simpsons movie a 7 out of 10. So thanks for watching my Animated Look Back, everybody. I am LazerDude. Be sure to join me on my next Animated Look Back, where I review Over the Hedge. Yeah, this is where I'm going to throw this movie after I'm done. Oh, boy.
Steady.
Dad?
Thanks, boy. Steady.
Woohoo! Wow!